I'm going to share a story today, and I'm going to try and be as quick as possible, respect my friend's time. Naomi, look forward to hearing her in a little while. I was diagnosed with systemic lupus erythematosus, lupus, in 2010. I was 20 years old, and wow, exposed my age. I was 20 years old, and I had a really difficult summer. I was in and out of the hospital. It started off with breathing problems. Then I developed something called pericarditis. That's when the lining of your lungs becomes inflamed. I got skin rashes all over my body. It took about 6 weeks for them to come to a diagnosis. I left hospital on 12 pills per day. I still take, how many do I take? I take 6 currently per day. And I had to learn how to navigate my life differently. I was in my first year of uni, at the second year of university at the time. And so with an illness like that, it's an autoimmune deficiency. You have ups and downs, you know, but you carry on. You carry on doing what it is that you need to do, because we've got life to live, we've got things doing, as my dad would say. I was not raised in a Christian household. My mum and dad always made sure that I got to church on a Sunday morning, but they never came. When I hit about 14 years old and I tried to sleep in and like pull the covers over my head, my dad used to come and say, "You now go to church," and he would get me up and he would drive me there and he would come and pick me up, but he would not set foot inside those doors. Why do I say that? I believe God's hand has been on me from the beginning. From 4 years old, both of my parents made sure that Kedine's tail was in church every single Sunday. And so there were certain things that were deposited in me. So carried on through life. And then, I finished my degree. So I finished my undergrad. I went on, I got my postgrad. And then I started work. And in 2018, I was having a little bit of trouble with my left leg, like pain when I would walk. Sometimes I'd get pins and needles. This was going on for about 2 months or so, and then it got to the point where like my leg was literally like an ice block, like literally, as my dad would say, could I ain't cool drinks with it, like it was cold, right? Went to the hospital, they sent me over. So I live in Croydon, so I went to Croydon University Hospital. They sent me to St. George's. St. George's said, "Not sure what's going on. Your blood show you have a clot, but you need a scan." I said, "Okay, cool. Are we going to get the scan today?" They said, "No, I'll send you a letter in the post." At this point, I couldn't really walk well, so I was off work. I was home for about 2 weeks. I was still living with my mum at that time, and I would have to they would have to cook and leave everything out like on the ground floor, and I used to have to just keep my leg elevated because I could not put my leg on the floor. It would literally like shake with pain. And it was the day before I was due to go to the hospital, and I remember looking at my leg and I saw like red blotches coming up the bottom of my foot, up the back of my leg, and I was like, "Do you know what, Mum? Like I don't feel like I can wait till tomorrow. Like I feel like we just need to go to the hospital now." And in true Caribbean fashion, go beard. So I had to go upstairs and bathe. And then we got ready to go we called an ambulance. Ambulance came, they took me over to Croydon. They said that I needed a scan, an arterial scan of the leg, and offered me paracetamol. Took the paracetamol. They did the arterial scan, and then they said, "Give her morphine." I said, "Okay." "We found a clot in the artery of your left leg, and it's cutting off the blood supply to your foot. So we need to send you to St. George's, who have a specialist vascular department, and they will take it from there." They blue light me over. And you know when they say it bad, but it's not so bad. Like it's bad, but we know what's going on. We'll figure out what's happening. So we head over to St. George's. At this point, I've been unwell for 2-3 weeks now. I can't really eat. Pain is just lacing my body. And so they can't find veins. All my veins are collapsed. It took about eight nurses/doctors to get a line in. They're pushing in all these IV blood thinners, and they're doing all the scans and stuff in preparation for surgery. They're like, "We need to go in And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the clot. So we're going to use a wire to dislodge and remove the clot. But if we can't do that, we'll take a vein from your thigh, bypass the clot to your foot, all of these kind of technicalities. Fine. So we do all the scans. At this point, family gathering. It's me, my mum, my dad, my auntie. And we are in this hospital room, running joke, And the doctors come in and try to they asked my dad to leave. I was like, he doesn't need to go, we can have this conversation. And they said, okay, well, we've looked at your scan and your leg isn't viable. What does that mean? What do you mean the leg is not viable? Oh, well, it seems as if the blood supply to your foot has been cut off for a substantial amount of time, and so the arteries to your foot are starting to close. So we don't think what? It's literally in the air. My dad, so you're saying you have to amputate? Yes, you have to amputate. 27 years old. I brought tissues, right? Because I think I've told this story about 5 times. If I start running joke for no reason, it's because I'm trying not to cry. Mascara's not cute. So literally, the world stopped. Do you know what I mean? Like my mum, poor mum, literally, I just saw her. She dropped to her chair. My dad, 6'3", strongest man I know, and I remember just seeing the light leave his eyes. So, and for me now, I'm gone at this point. So I remember my mum went to the bathroom, called this lady from my church, we call her Sister E, and said, yeah, you need to get the church to pray, and I'm going to need you to come, because at this point my mum's not slept for about 48 hours. I had been in St. Jude's, how long? This was the October, so I'd been in St. Jude's for less than a year, and I have to give them all a round of applause, because they treated me like this. So I remember Pastor Daniel would call to get updates, etc. And Stephanie told me that literally they called an all-night prayer. She said she left at 1 a.m. and people were still turning up to pray for me, someone they'd known for less than a year. At this point now, I ain't got nothing to say to God, let's be honest. Have you ever reached certain times or faced certain things, I have nothing to say to you. Absolutely nothing to say to you. I was raised by parents that didn't take back chat. They don't. And so I knew growing up, if I was angry at my earthly father, I didn't talk, because before I say something sharp and find a sky remote right here, let me just hold my mouth until I can come to him with the right respect. And unfortunately, I transitioned that relationship to my relationship with God. I had nothing to say. Called my sister, she was in university at the time. And I don't know how she got to Northampton, from Northampton to London in about an hour 45, she don't drive. So how she skyrocketed over here, she made it. At this point, I wanna also say, you need to surround yourself with people with good intentions for you. Good intentions. My sister, she's my little sister, both in age and height, she's small. But she is my intercessor, that little girl. So she came down. It's the next morning, it's the day of surgery. My mum, who's not saved, Kedine, do you want to pray? I'm good. We're all getting ready. At this, I'm still not praying. And my sister went, she knows me, she knows I write, so she went and got a notepad, and she brought it upstairs. She said, if you're not going to talk, write. So I wrote to God. I told him why I was hurt, why I was angry. I told him why I was frustrated. I told him my fear for the future. Because when I say amputate my foot, I don't mean ankle down, I mean above the knee. We have my sister, again, like I said, she's my intercessor. So she prayed, and then she got her phone, and she was literally just putting songs in my ears. The Walls Group, anyone know the Walls Group? Anyone listen to the Walls Group? They have a song called The Rock. And the turnaround at the end says, I will trust in the rock. I will trust in the rock. I will trust in the rock, Jesus. And it then goes on to one of the songs we sang growing up, I am under the rock. The rock is higher than I. Jehovah, hide me. I am under the rock. So we have the surgery. Wake up in ICU, and you can only have 2 people come in at a time. So my mum and dad come in, and they hug me, and they're like, Kedine, it's all right, we'll figure it out. You know, you did everything you were supposed to do. So now I'm like, oh shoot, like they took the leg. Because I said to them, I made sure when I was signing the consent form, I said, what's the risk of waking me up? They said, just putting you under like another anesthetic. I said, cool, you do what you can do. If you can't do anything, wake me up. Wake me up. Don't say, oh, we tried it all, so we had to take it. Wake me up. So I'm like, oh, shoot, it was bad. They had to take the leg. They're like, no, it's fine. At this point, they've already had their discussions in the back room with my parents about what needs to happen next. So what they're saying is that surgery was the Friday, and they basically said, we need to amputate by Sunday because she's either going to live with chronic pain for the rest of her life or she will get sepsis and she will die. So we need to do this amputation. So my mum and dad, they hug me, they leave. Then I have a lady called Mummy Cora in my life. I've known her for about 7 years. So my parents are not saved, but she is my spiritual mum. She covers me. And she came, she hugged me. She was with my sister, and I remember turning to my sister, and I said to her, Jan, I'm going to need for you to be strong for mum and dad, you know, because they can't have 2 broken children. So I'm going to need for you to be strong, and I'm going to need for you to let Mummy Coral be strong for you. They can't cope. She start bar, that now help me know. And then Mummy Coral said to me, she said, what do you see? You know, the word of God says, I will hide your word in my heart that I may not sin against thee. And so when you hide God's word in your heart, it comes out at the most random times. She said, what do you see? I said, I see men walking like trees. She said, so we'll keep praying. My auntie comes in after we have our words. And then the next morning, in walks Christy and Stephanie. And shame washes me, like literally washes me. I didn't want to share today because, again, raise your hand. Have you ever had a situation in your life that you're over, but you don't really want to talk about it because you don't want to be categorized in that space? You don't want to always be remembered as the one who. Shame washed me. Because at this point, I can't do anything. I can't walk. I can't go to the bathroom by myself. I can't do anything. And they came and they talked with me and they prayed for me. Christy gave me a book, a C.S. Lewis book. I still have. They left. They transferred me to the main ward. And there was this nurse. His name was Tom. I'll never forget him. And he was, you know, my nurse. He was looking after me on that ward. And so him and my mum got talking, and he was just like, you know, how did this young girl, it was a Ghanaian man, how did this young girl end up here? Like, what happened? Explain the story. And then said, are you praying people? My unsaved mum, yes, we are. Yes, we are. And so he said, okay, let's pray. And they prayed in a corner. Again, I think it's in Hebrews, it says, along the lines of be kind because you might meet angels unaware. Yeah? They prayed. He looked after me that evening, that night, into the morning. And at this point, they're using like a really small ultrasound machine to see if they can pick up like a pulse in the foot. And every single time he checked my foot, he laid his hand and he prayed over my foot. Every time. Every time. And so now, every day, the worst point of the day is ward rounds, right? 10 a.m. ward rounds, because this is where they come around, they're looking at your bloods, they're looking at everything, and they're making decisions about the next steps of your care. And so they would say, okay, Kedine, this is good, X, Y, Z, rare, you're doing all right, but we got to watch it because we might have to amputate tomorrow. It was like literally every day, okay, this looks good, but, this looks good, but, this looks good, but. And then I could wiggle my toe. No, first they said, we can hear a pulse. I said, okay. Then they said, I can wiggle my toes. Okay, cool. All right, you can move your ankle. Okay. And then the surgeon came to see me. His name was Mohammed. I can't remember what his surname was. He came to see me, a Muslim man, because I remember at the time that he said, do you believe in God? This was before the thing. He said, do you believe? And my parents said yes. He said, if I were you, I would pray. This was before the surgery. And so he came in and he looked at me. He looked me up and down. He looked at my bloods. He looked at my charts. And he looked me in my face and said, you're a miracle. I said, I like that. I like that. I then have to learn to walk again, do physio to leave the hospital. So I'm in the hospital for about 3 weeks. I leave. I got home and the wound is not healing. It will not heal. I pick up an infection in the wound. And me and my dad took the time off so that he could take me where I needed to go. Infection in the wound. And I remember we had to rush back to the hospital and I remember bursting out in tears. I said, Daddy, it's happening again, it's happening again, it's happening again. And he said, he stopped the card, he said, Kedine, he said, sometimes, Jamaican, I just want a hug. Just tell me it's all right. He said, whether them take the foot or them not take it, we have to go work it out. But he was right. We went to the hospital. At this point, because the wound isn't healing, it's starting to open. And I had about a hole about this big in my leg. It was like 5 centimeters deep. They're having to pack it every day. The nerve endings are open, so the pain is rife. And then they say, look, we've got to readmit you, because if this doesn't heal again, infection, death, no leg. The usual synopsis. So I'm back in the hospital for about 5 days, and I think I hit my lowest low at that time. I hit my lowest low at that time. Because I'm like, God, what are you doing? Are you doing it or you not? Let man know. Let me know. Are you doing it or are you not doing it? A week later, I'm out of hospital. I learned to walk again. So for the 3rd time, because, when I was born, then the 2nd time, and now. And I am now 3 years on with 2 legs. 2 working legs. They said I couldn't travel because of blood clots and stuff. I've been to Jamaica, I've been to Canada, I've been to Chicago, I've been to... I've traveled. And God sent me to send the story for a couple of reasons. The first reason, to show you that he can. He can. Sometimes we wonder if he can. And as I sat here today, I was like, I asked Lydia for a pen. I need a pen, I need a pen, I need a pen. Because as I was sitting in the room, God was just talking. And I feel as if faith in here is dwindling in God's ability to do. And hearing me should make you feel better, but actually you're angry, because why can he do it for her? But what I need to happen is not happening. You're taking your circumstance not changing as him forsaking you, and that is not true. I just want to let you know that that is not true. I always say, people ask me, why do I serve God? Why do I love God? I love God because his biggest gift to me was salvation. Biggest gift. And everything else is a plus. Everything else is a plus. But one thing God promised was that he would always be with us. He will always be with us. And I'm coming down. I'm being looked at, so let me come down. But Psalms 91, I'm just going to read the end. My favorite psalm. Verse 14. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. He shall call upon me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. And with long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Jesus Christ's death and resurrection is enough. It's enough. I'm going to go by a very new song. Jireh, you are enough. Jireh, you are enough. I will be content in every circumstance because Jireh, you are enough.